Welcome to another Pen Talk. Today I'm going to be doing a compilation episode. Those of you familiar with my videos will probably recognize these 7 pens. They're all from one manufacturer, Delta, an Italian manufacturer which until a few months ago I had not had any of their pens, and through the wonders of eBay and a seller in Italy, which is selling these pens at an extremely good price, and I did make one steal in my purchases, I now own 7 of them. 2 of them have been daily writers for me, and I've now started a third, and they're great. To me, I love the feel of the pen, the design of the pen, the balance of the pen. The materials are just exquisite. I don't know of any other pen manufacturer that uses as quality of a material, manufacturing techniques that are excellent. All the parts fit together extremely well. The finishes are perfect. The design just has tons of details in it, which you appreciate over time as you use the pen, and the nibs are excellent. When I go into a little bit more detail on them, I did modify one of the nibs slightly, but and I may modify some of the other ones just to change the characteristics to be a little bit more into my favor, but all of them wrote great right out of the box. Let's do a little close-up of each of them. This is the newest Delta in my collection, the Delta Capri Night. It was in the scheme of things relatively inexpensive. The next pen is Delta Fusion 82 in fuchsia, which is the first Delta that I bought, and as soon as I unboxed it, inked it, touched pen to paper, I was utterly impressed with the quality and the way that it worked. The third one is a Delta Capri Marina Grande, which is in the same Capri line as the first pen. Kind of an aquatic theme in the pen. The fourth one is the Delta Dolce Vita Zen, which is, I've been using this for 2 months now steady, and it's continued to perform great. I've been very pleased with it. I love the balance. I can write with it for hours with, with an excellent experience from start to finish. Then we come up, which I think is probably the more impressive of the other more expensive Deltas, is a Delta Dolce Vita mid-size Oro. My first extra fine fusion nib, and I love it. Then is the steel in the group, is one of my 2 indigenous people's pens. This is the Touareg one, and I got it for a steal. And then at the very end of this group, but not the least, I think it's the most impressive Delta, is the indigenous people Adivasi. So you can get a kind of an idea of how they look in perspective. And now I'm going to dive in a little bit into the details in manufacturing just to give you a view of how they were done. We'll start with the Delta Capri Night in ivory to kind of represent moonlight. It's just excellent. They have little crescent blue moons here. An actual turquoise cabochon in the top. Most of the Delta pens have some type of metal in the top of the cap, mostly indicative of the type of pen that it is. All of them, the cap unscrews. This one is a extra fine steel nib, and it writes great. It's joining my daily rotation. It's just, I can't say enough about it. The pen posts extremely securely, makes for perfectly balanced. It's a lightweight so that you can use it for a long period of time with no fatigue. One of the things, I talked about the little details that Delta does. There's a resin insert in these 2 steel bands that just is excellent. It's and you can see the pattern follows through. I like this section design where it kind of tapers down and there's no, so you can really hold it any place there very comfortably. The Fusion was my first Delta, and it's still a great Delta. It's probably the lightest weight of any of the pens I have here. Very nice design. I love the color. Again, the finish and everything else about the pen just really struck a chord with me. Has a more standard section to it with a little flare out at the end. This is a fine Fusion nib, and the first time I wrote with it, I was just amazed that it gives a great, excellent type of feedback, which I enjoyed. We'll take a look at this thing a little bit more close up, and we'll force the camera to focus on it. So that's the, again, it started. This is the only one that I would consider using as a eyedropper fill. I know some people eyedropper fill their Dolce Vitas, but all my Dolce Vitas have metal inside of them. But this is just a beautiful pen, well made. The price point was about $100. These are in line with what their normal cost is on eBay. I got this one because I was just very interested in the design and the colors. Again, I'm a favorite to blue in my pens. All the little detail, as you can see, again at the top of this cap is a symbol indicative of a clock supposedly on the island of Capri. You know, rollerball at the clip, which Delta does use. Interesting design in the clip. You know, a little bit of scroll work there. I like the way the different colors of resin they used in the bottom of the cap. A nice little silver band here at the bottom. All the Deltas are engraved in some way. They all have unique numbers on them. Sometimes it's a limited series, sometimes not. This one also unscrews. This is a broad Fusion nib. It had a little bit of baby's bottom, at least that's what I thought it is. You can see it is inked. So I just did a little bit of refinement on it. I think I may still do a little bit of copper foil in between the times, but it now writes excellently first time all the time, no skipping. So just a minor adjustment in my view of things. The Dolce Vita Zen, this was the first one I used as a daily writer. I still use it as a daily writer. It has a nice weight to it. It posts very securely. Feels great in the hand. You know, more weight than the Capri Night or the Fusion. This has a 14 karat broad nib in it. It's a little smaller than the other nibs, but it performs very, very well. I've not had to touch or think about doing anything to change the writing characteristics. One of the things I did want to mention is if you are interested in this type of pen, it does post, but it needs a little bit of pressure to get it to post securely. So if you just put the cap on gently, it will come off, but if you put it on with a little bit of effort, it does stay nice in place. And to me, one of the, I'd say, classics, this mid-size auto. I got this in the same design as the Zen with the black cap and the black bottom of the barrel, but I just love this resin. I got it in gold instead of rhodium trim. I just think that works together very well. You get a little Delta logo in the top of the cap. I can't speak enough about the attention to detail that Delta does. This has an extra fine Fusion nib, and it writes, I mean, I'm not an extra fine guy, and this writes beautiful. This will someday join my daily writers. Caps nice and securely very easily. This is on the heavy side and on the large size. So you have to be into a pen of this size. So when it gets into my daily rotation, it'll be interesting to see how I adapt to this pen, which is slightly bigger than I'm used to using. This was the steel in my collection, the Indigenous People Tuareg in blue again. I primarily bought this because the price was just ridiculous. They made the decimal place in the wrong place on the pen. This one is the Indigenous People. They have the unique identifier, the pen number, a part of a series in the bottom of the cap. Attention to detail. I've seen this symbol on the cap and on another pen, so it's not unique to this particular series. It's an 18 karat extra fine nib. As you saw from my video, it writes extremely well. Nice section. So it's my steel. And last but not least, certainly, is the Adivasi. Probably, other than the mid-size Oro, this is the larger of the size pens. It has good weight to it, a lot of metal. Just the design work in this is just outrageously good. And I really enjoy it. And this has an 18 karat medium nib in it. A unique design on the nib, as all the indigenous people have. Just love the colors of the resin, how they were put together. The sterling silver band here in the middle. Hopefully you enjoyed that little comparison of my Delta pens. May fortune shine upon you, and may at some point in time, if you're inclined, become an owner of your own Delta. Have a good day, and write on.